All right, welcome back. Today is the day. We're going to take everything we've talked about so far and actually put it all together to build your very first real-world Python program. This is that big moment, where you stop just learning concepts and you start building stuff. So let's get to it and create a tip calculator from scratch.
Okay, so picture this. We've all been there, right? You're out to eat, the bill comes, and it's $50. Service was awesome, so you want to leave a good tip. Let's say 15%. Now, yeah, you could whip out your phone's calculator or do the math in your head, but where's the fun in that? We're going to do something way cooler.
And this gets us to the big question every single programmer asks, right? How do we get this amazing machine to do the heavy lifting for us? That's the challenge we're tackling today. And you are going to be shocked at how simple it actually is to get the answer using just a few lines of code.
So where do we even begin? Well, before a computer can do anything, it needs to know what it's working with. It can't just magically know the numbers. Our first job is to store the two most important pieces of information, the amount of the bill and the percentage for the tip.
And to do that, we're going to use one of the absolute cornerstones of programming, a variable. Honestly, the best way to think about a variable is just like a jar. It's a little container that we can slap a label on and just pop some information inside to use later. Okay, first up is our bill, $50. Simple, right? It's just a whole number. And in the world of Python, this kind of number has a special name. We call it an integer. All right, now for the tip. Here's a little thing about computers. They don't really get percentages like we do. So we have to translate 15% into something it understands, which is 0.15. And see that decimal point? That's a big clue. That tells us this is a different type of number, what we call a float.
So how does this actually look when we write the code? It's super simple. This line right here, bill equals 50, that's literally us telling the computer, hey, take the number 50 and put it in a jar named bill. Boom, done. Our first piece of info is stored.
And we're just going to do the exact same thing for the tip. We make another jar, label this one tip_percentage, and we put our float, 0.15, right inside. And just like that, the computer now has everything it needs. The information is stored, it's safe, and it's ready to go. All right, our info is in its jars. Now for the really fun part. Let's make the computer do some math. So what's going on with this line of code? We're basically telling the computer to play with our jars. We're saying, hey, create a new jar for me, call it tip_amount, and whatever you get when you multiply what's in the bill jar with what's in the tip_percentage jar, stick that result in the new one. And what does it come up with? $7.50. The computer did it in a flash and popped the answer right into our tip amount jar. Perfect. But wait, we're not done, right? We need the grand total. So, one last time. We'll make one final jar, we'll call it total_bill, and this time we'll tell the computer to add the bill jar and our new tip_amount jar together. Okay, so right now the program knows everything. It's got the tip, it's got the total, but it's all locked inside the computer's brain. That information isn't very useful to us unless we can see it. We have to tell the computer to show us the answer. And for that, we use Python's built-in megaphone, basically. It's called the print function. Now, that little F you see right before the quotes, that's an F string, and it's like a superpower for printing. It lets us drop the values from our variables right into a sentence super easily. And, drumroll please, here is the final result. When we hit run on our program, this is exactly what pops up on the screen. It pulled the numbers right out of the jars and built a nice clean sentence for us. And just like that, you've built a real working program. Seriously, congratulations. Okay, let's just pause for a second and really let this sink in. I know, it might just seem like a simple little calculator, but what you've just done is actually a huge deal in your programming journey. This is your first really big win. Think about all the core concepts you just put into action. You used variables to store stuff. You handled two different data types, integers and floats. You made the computer do math with operators. And you used strings to make a nice message for the user. These are the Lego bricks of programming, and you just built something with them. Okay, so now that you've seen how it all works, let's switch things up and put that new knowledge to the test. Just a quick little challenge for your brain. So, what if we ran the exact same program, but we made one tiny change? Right at the beginning, instead of 50, we put 100 into the bill jar. What happens? What would the final output look like?
Just try to trace the steps in your head.
Go on, take a second. The tip percentage is still the same, so what's the new tip? What's the new total?
Got it? The answer is the tip would be $15 and the total would be $115. And hey, if you got that right, that is fantastic. It means you're not just reading code anymore, you're starting to think in code, you're understanding the logic, and that's a huge, huge step. And that really brings us to the most important point, and I want you to remember this. You've gone from just knowing a few bits and pieces about Python to actually building a real functional program that solves a problem. That is a massive accomplishment.
But we're not stopping here, not by a long shot. See, right now, our program is basically a fancy calculator. It just follows a straight line of instructions. Next time, we're going to give our programs a brain. We're going to give them the power to make decisions. We're moving from just calculating to deciding, using something called if-else logic. And trust me, that opens up a whole new universe of things we can build.
So if you followed along today and these ideas started to click, you are in an absolutely perfect spot to keep going. Do me a favor, if this helped you out, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for building with me, and I'll see you in the next one.